So I have been to this museum before, and this is an exhibit I have seen before, but it is something that bears repeating. The name of the exhibit is With Liberty and Justice for All, the Enduring Struggle for Freedom. It's mostly about the civil rights movement, but there are several worthwhile exhibits in here, and we're going to walk over and we're going to look at one in particular that if you can get to the Detroit area, you really should come see this, just because of what it represents. We're going to come around the corner here. There's several things I'm going to show here, but there's one thing in particular I'm going to go straight to and show. It's around the corner here. Matter of fact, how do I get into it? Let's see. It's in here. Yeah, it's in here. So this is the the whole exhibit's on the civil rights movement, but the thing in the museum where it belongs, not on somebody's head. And we've got, the exhibit talks about, Jim Crow laws. Talks about Jim Crow laws, and it talks about the civil rights movement. But this is why I came straight here. This is a Montgomery County or Montgomery City bus, number 2857. And this is the bus that Rosa Parks refused to move to the back of the bus on. This is the actual bus. This is the bus that Rosa Parks wouldn't move to the back of the bus on. And you can go in it. There's a lot of people in there right now, so I may wait a minute until some of these people get out. But it says, please don't sit in the driver's seat there. In a minute, I'll go in, and we'll go inside the bus. Looks like there might be somebody giving a tour or giving a talk about the bus. But this is the actual bus. This is the actual bus that Rosa Parks didn't go along, didn't do what she was told, didn't follow the law, and that led to the Montgomery bus boycott, led by a young minister named Martin Luther King Jr. These are some of the rules. So there's some rules. The boycott, integrated bus suggestions. They had a lot of rules about buses, and how African Americans and minorities were supposed to behave themselves on a bus, because you didn't want to get the old racist white people up in their fields. Let's see, December 1st, 1955. I'm trying to see, somewhere in here I thought there was a sign that talked about what happened with this bus afterwards, the provenance of the bus. It wasn't immediately retired. It was used as a bus for several more years. I thought there was a sign here that talked about how they found the bus and restoring the bus and stuff. But it was used as a bus for quite a while after Rosa Parks did her thing on it, and they ended up getting it and restoring it and putting it in here. I'm going to go ahead and go inside. These people are just hanging out inside the bus, so I'm going to go inside here and we're going to. Why fight traffic? Go by bus. Anyway, it's just a bus, but it is a very special bus in the history of this country. Some amazing shit happened in this bus. So I'm not going to talk while I go inside. We're going to go inside the bus.
Rosa Parks' own words on the very bus she was riding in Montgomery at the time. Yeah.
Who did that production?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth.
It wasn't like a news story, though.
Like
a TV story that you were doing.
Oh, I'm not quite sure. I should know that, but one thing I will say, there's a photograph out here where it's after the U.S. Supreme Court ruling to desegregate the buses.
Yeah.
And it's a different bus, no doubt, but Rosa Parks is seated where you are, which it was the white section, but now it's a desegregated bus after the U.S. Supreme Court ruling. And there's a white man sitting behind her. Well, now that can happen, but he was a journalist. He was
The white man?
Yeah, in this photograph. Yeah, he was because that was a huge nationwide news item that buses across the country would now be desegregated. Yep. Yeah.
This is the actual original bus.
It is. It is. It's 75% original.
Yeah, that was my next question. I was wondering how long this bus was maybe in service because the restoration here is beautiful.
Oh, it is, and I can show you pictures of what it looked like before restoration.
Yeah, wasn't it just like a piece of rust?
Well, it was in sad shape. So the bus went out of service in 1971.
Oh,
Okay, and so it had, and this happened in '55. Rosa Parks Courage. So at that point, Roy Summerford, local guy in Montgomery, he bought the bus to use as a storage shed. Right, and then because people did that often with retired buses, but at the company they told him, well, you have 2857. Here's original paint up in the corner, not touched, right?
Yeah.
Rosa Parks was arrested on the bus, so he knew that. Then up here in the front, you've got the original manufacturer's plate. It's a Pontiac, Michigan, of all things. So it's a GM coach, 1948 GM coach. And by matching serial numbers with records, they could prove this bus was in Montgomery at the time.
Yeah.
And then the other piece of evidence up in front is a scrapbook that it's all spread out. It was kept by the manager of the bus line, Charles Cummings. And he had the wherewithal. There are 2 pages under glass where he notated twice. So number 2857. And he notated Blake. Well, James Blake had been the driver. And told his family, hang on to the scrapbook because somebody would like to have it one day, right?
Yeah.
So finally, when all that information came together, there was an internet auction for the bus in October of 2001. And one of our curators was up all night. He's putting in bid after bid. I think it started with 8 or 10 places.
Yeah.
But finally, it's 2 or 3 in the morning. You had 3 left, the Henry Ford, the Smithsonian, and the city of Denver. They have an African American research library.
Yeah.
But as you can see, the final bid was here at the Henry Ford.
What was the final bid,
well,
do you know?
Well, well over 450,000. Okay.
Oh, yeah? Wow.
I had a figure that I thought I read a while ago, but we'll just put it that way. And then it was restored for an additional 300,000.
Wow.
That money came through a federal grant called Save Our Nation's Treasures.
Yeah.
So it's 75% original, 15% from other 1948 GM coaches, like seat frames, transmission, 10% new, paint, mats, windows, and advertisements.
Yeah.
Out of the era, though, yes.
So you're telling me that if you took this bus out of this facility, you could actually get it started?
No, did you say something about the Smithsonian?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want to know does it? You want to know does it run?
No, they did leave a component out so that it wouldn't run. So the easy answer is to say no, it doesn't run. Yeah. But there's quite a bit. I know there is a transmission in the back. There's that. Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
So that's the seat that Rosa Parks was sitting in, right there.
Oh,
And then this is the back of the bus where they told her to go, and she said no. So something to remember. I will probably turn the camera back on later. So that seat over there, the far one, was the one that she was sitting in this picture over here, and I'll go over to that picture in a minute. This is the seat here that she was sitting in when she was arrested. She was in this section, and the front of the bus was for white people. The middle of the bus was allowed black people as long as there were no white people on the bus. Enough white people got on the bus, you had to move back. And she was sitting here, and the driver said some white people got on, let's move back, and she wouldn't do it. And so she was arrested from this seat right here. After the Supreme Court ruled that the segregation of the buses was unconstitutional, there was a photo op taken of her and a guy, and I'll show the picture in a minute. In that photo, she was sitting in that seat, and that is this picture over here. And it's a relatively famous picture. Most people probably have seen this picture. It's this picture here, where she's sitting on the bus in front of a white guy. In this picture, the white man is a journalist who sat there specifically for the photo op. So she was sitting in front of a white man, and he's a journalist, he's a reporter, and he sat there just for the photo op. So yeah, this is the actual bus. I don't know if you heard in the previous video I did, the lady was talking about it. Henry Ford bought it for $450,000 and then spent $300,000 restoring it. It's 75% original. So yeah, if you're in the area, you should come to the Henry Ford. There's several other massively historical things that I'm going to turn the camera on for in this place. But if you're up this way, you should definitely get up to the Henry Ford in Dearborn, Michigan. Now that we've seen what I consider to be the highlight of this particular exhibit at the Henry Ford, the Rosa Parks bus, we're going to show a couple other things of interest in this exhibit. This is the speaker's chair from 1795. So it's probably Thomas Affleck. It was in Independence Hall in the late 1700s. It'd be the vice president or speaker of the House sat in this chair, and I think it was probably Thomas Affleck who was one of the early. I think he was a speaker of the House in the very first couple speakers of the House. But another chair that is of interest in this exhibit is around the corner here. And these people are standing in front of it. Oh, now they're moving. This is the chair that Abraham Lincoln was sitting in when he was assassinated. And yes, that stain up top there, that is Abraham Lincoln's blood. Abraham Lincoln, this chair was in Ford's Theater in April 1865, and Abraham Lincoln was sitting in it when John Wilkes Booth shot him in the back of the head and killed him. I forget, this chair, it took kind of a long journey to get here. It was obviously in Ford's Theater for quite some time, and then I want to say that it was in the White House or something, or maybe it was in the Lincoln family possession, but it's been here at the Henry Ford now for quite some time. And this is the chair that Abraham Lincoln was sitting in when he was killed. So that's kind of a interesting historical note. And then where's the other thing I wanted to show? You kind of get turned around in here a little bit in this exhibit. Where is it? Let's see if I can find it. There's a lot of stuff in here. No, that's not it.
The public ledger in Philadelphia argued a woman is no
here it is.
A wife is everything.
This car. This was a car that was in several different parades. For women's suffrage. This car was in several of the parades that they did in support of women's suffrage. So, several interesting things here in this particular exhibit, and this is just one exhibit of many in this museum. We're going to head over now to another really interesting exhibit, and I will probably turn the camera back on for that because that's just kind of what I do. There's a quick last look at the back of Rosa Parks bus. Very important piece of American history.